No one expected anything special to happen that cold Tuesday morning. It was just another busy day at the downtown bus stop in Columbus, Ohio. People were tired. Coffee cups steamed in shaking hands. Heads were down. No one was really looking at anyone else, but in less than 5 minutes, something so simple happened that it stopped an entire crowd in their tracks. And by the time the bus doors closed, there wasn't a single person there who wasn't thinking about it. Before we begin, if stories like this warm your heart and remind you that goodness still exists in the world, make sure you subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome to Kindness Story Hub, where we share real-life inspired stories that prove even the smallest acts can change everything. It was 7:45 a.m., and the number 14 bus was running late. Daniel Harper stood near the edge of the sidewalk, shoulders tight, hands buried in his coat pockets. He was 38 years old, recently laid off from a warehouse job, and on his way to what he hoped would be a new beginning, a final interview for a maintenance position at a local high school. He had already used up most of his savings. His rent was due in 2 weeks. If he didn't get this job, he didn't know what he would do next. He checked his watch for the third time in 2 minutes. That's when he noticed her. About 10 feet away sat an elderly woman on the cold metal bench. Her gray hair peeked out from beneath a thin knit hat. Her coat looked too light for the weather. Next to her was a small rolling grocery cart, the kind many seniors used to carry essentials. Her hands were trembling. At first, Daniel looked away. Everyone else had. The morning crowd had perfected the art of polite blindness. But something about the way her shoulders shook caught his attention again. She wasn't just cold, she was crying. Daniel hesitated. His interview was in less than an hour. He couldn't afford to miss that bus, but he also couldn't ignore what he was seeing. He walked over slowly. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked gently. The woman looked up, startled. Her eyes were red, her cheeks wet. She tried to smile, but it didn't hold. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean to make a scene." "You're not," Daniel replied. "What's wrong?" She glanced down at her hands. I lost my wallet this morning. Must have dropped it at the grocery store. I don't have money for the bus. And I don't know how I'm going to get home." Daniel felt his stomach tighten. The bus fare was only $2.75. It didn't sound like much. But he had exactly $6 in his pocket, just enough for his round trip today. If he gave her the fare, he wouldn't have enough to get home after his interview. He thought about the job, the rent, the bills. He also thought about his mother. She had passed away 3 years earlier. She used to take this same bus line. She used to carry a small cart just like that. Daniel reached into his pocket. Without saying another word, he pulled out $3 and placed it in the woman's shaking hand. Her eyes widened. "Oh no, I can't take your money," she said quickly. "It's okay," Daniel insisted. "I've got it covered." "But what about you?" He forced a smile. "I'll figure it out." The bus pulled up just then with a loud hiss of air brakes. The driver opened the doors. Daniel stepped back and motioned for her to go first. As she climbed aboard, she turned to him. "What's your name?" "Daniel." She reached out and squeezed his hand. "Thank you, Daniel. You have no idea what this means to me." He nodded, suddenly feeling embarrassed by the attention. A few passengers had been watching. Some looked surprised. Others looked thoughtful. Daniel climbed on after her and dropped his last $3 into the fare box. He didn't have a plan for getting home, but for the first time that morning, his shoulders felt lighter. The bus ride was quiet. The elderly woman sat near the front. Daniel stood in the aisle, holding the overhead rail. At the next stop, something unexpected happened. A man in a business suit stood up and walked toward Daniel. "Hey," he said quietly. "I saw what you did back there." Daniel shrugged. It was nothing. The man shook his head. No, it wasn't. He reached into his wallet and handed Daniel a crisp $20 bill. Please, he said before Daniel could protest. Let me help you the way you helped her. Daniel stared at the bill. I can't take that. Yes, you can, the man replied. This city could use more people like you. Before Daniel could argue again, a young woman sitting nearby leaned forward. I'd like to help too, she said, pulling out a $5 bill. Another passenger spoke up. Then another. Within seconds, what started as a quiet bus ride turned into something extraordinary. People reached into pockets and purses. Some gave $1. Some gave more. No one said much. They didn't need to. By the time the bus reached Daniel's stop, he was holding over $120 as he stood there stunned. The elderly woman looked back at him from her seat, tears streaming down her face again, but this time, they were different. Daniel stepped off the bus in disbelief that he hadn't just gotten his bus fare back, that he had received more than he had lost in weeks, but what stayed with him wasn't the money, it was the feeling. Inside that bus, for a few brief moments, strangers had become something else. They had seen each other. They had responded. They had chosen kindness. Daniel went to his interview with a new kind of confidence. He told the principal the truth about being laid off. He spoke honestly about wanting stable work and about caring for the community. 2 days later, he got the call. The job was his. Months passed. Daniel settled into his new routine at the high school. He fixed broken lockers, repaired lights, shoveled snow in winter. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was steady. Honest. One afternoon, near the end of the school year, he noticed something familiar near the front office. A small rolling grocery cart. His heart skipped. Sitting in one of the waiting chairs was the same elderly woman from the bus stop. He approached her slowly. Ma'am? She looked up, and her face lit up. Daniel. They both laughed in surprise. What are you doing here? He asked. My granddaughter goes to school here, she explained. I pick her up on Fridays. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. I've been hoping I'd see you again, she said. Daniel shook his head. You don't have to, please, she interrupted gently. Just let me say this. She looked him straight in the eyes. That day, I wasn't just worried about bus fare. I was overwhelmed. I live alone. My health hasn't been the best. And sometimes you start to feel invisible. Her voice trembled slightly. But you saw me. You stopped. You treated me like I mattered. Daniel swallowed hard. She handed him the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note and $50. I want you to pass it on, she said. To someone else who needs it. Daniel didn't argue this time. He smiled. That evening, as he walked to his car, he noticed a teenage boy sitting on the curb outside a convenience store. His clothes were worn. His eyes looked tired. Daniel paused. He remembered the bus. He remembered the hands reaching out. He walked over. Hey, he said gently. You doing okay? The boy looked up, surprised, and just like that, the cycle began again. Kindness doesn't always make headlines. It doesn't trend online. It doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it's $3 at a bus stop, sometimes it's a $20 bill quietly pressed into a stranger's hand, sometimes it's simply stopping long enough to see someone who feels invisible. That morning in Columbus didn't change the whole world, but it changed a bus full of people. It changed an elderly woman's day. It changed Daniel's outlook, and it reminds us of something powerful. You never know who's watching, you never know who's waiting for a sign. That goodness still exists, and you never know how far one simple gesture can travel. So the next time you're in a hurry, the next time you're tempted to look away, remember this story, because somewhere nearby, someone might be standing at their own version of that cold bus stop, and your small act, your simple gesture, might leave everyone speechless. If this story touched your heart, Share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness still matters. And until next time, keep choosing compassion. The world needs more of it.